Hi, I'm Scav, and I'm an architecture critic. Welcome to the Extra Office, a channel where I do architecture critiques of video games. If you want to join me live, please find my Twitch below. And to support my endeavors, please find me on Patreon, which is also linked below. Let's get started. Hello, hello, hello. So, today we are going to do Zora domain and Rito, the Rito Village. So I'm really excited to start discussing spaces inside of this game that are not built for Hylians, right? A lot of the architecture we've looked at so far has been specifically built, or at least built with a lot of humanoid inhabitation in mind. The four elements here combine, earth, fire, water, air, the creation of four sort of other types of species that are not Hylian, and there are cities for them. So we're going to visit the Rito Village first. Anyway, the Rito Village is, of course, situated in this beautiful valley, right? In the middle of a lake. Oh, you can't. I guess you can kind of see the black, but let's adjust that. Situated on a lake with these that's really deep, and these, of course, these huge pillars of earth create an environment where there's a humongous draft. It's very drafty. There's a lot of updraft. That means, of course, that we can do a lot of flying and floating. And the Rito are the air element, if you will, in the equation. I'm glad we started up there so we can get a kind of aerial overview. And it reminds me a lot of like Treetop Town, which was a classic Donkey Kong Country level. But Rito Village is, of course, suspended in the air, and as such, the structures must be lightweight. And I love that they are. Oops, let's get rid of the fire arrow here. That they're sort of hung on the string. And they're basically just weighted down at the bottom and then locked in with these bridges here. So that bridge connection actually is stabilizing this entire thing, which I feel like with the drafts, if you put up enough of the if you put up enough of the curtains, this thing will start to sway and maybe break away from the stability of the rock, because this connection is rather small. So I'll say that at first. But the town plan basically is a spiral from top to bottom. So you start and you're going to go around and spiral down, and then of course these bridges that lead into the city. So the form of Rito Village is one which is linear, which is a little bit different than a lot of our other cities, or at least villages, have been double loaded. That means that there is something to either side of a hallway, but in Rito, it's pretty much a single loaded corridor that wraps around this massive column in the middle of a lake, atop which is perched Vomito. However, the only thing closest to Vomito in hierarchy would be the king, which is this somehow humongous version of the creatures who inhabit this area. This is the king's area is really not really special, right? It's just at the top of this perch But otherwise, the room that he's in or the areas that he's inhabiting, really no different than any other type of creature, or the store, or people. Now there's the weight at the bottom of the structure. You can kind of see the weight there that I was talking about earlier. I suppose that's really heavy, and the whole structure is sort of tied up and held from above, which I think is really beautiful. And here's this at one point, this whole thing is tied there, and I think you'd get quite a bit of force acting on these things and blowing them around pretty forcefully. This architecture inhabits the side of a mountain in a really beautiful way, essentially. And as it is hung, the structure expresses at least the sort of perfect the perfect expression of a single point. So it's anchored vertically at a single point. So from above, the architecture would express that anchor by being the exact same sort of distance, or a perfect, what is this, an octagon? Pentagon. Decagon. It's got 10 sides, right? In plan. I mean, everything. It's always got a breeze in this town, but things are surprisingly stable, right? Like this plate of food, and this apparently some toilet paper here. You see that toilet paper? Speaking of, I wonder what the plumbing is like here. I don't want to know what the plumbing is like here. I imagine you just fly out and do your business and fly back home. What's one thing that's pretty surprising is that every structure, unlike most of the spaces we visited so far. Here we go. There's a great view. Here we can look at. I mean, I really am. I'm really concerned about this pin connection here. I'm sorry, but it is funny. Let me try to get it all in one. There we go. That's close enough. So there's this chain, right? And all the force is here, and this is operating like a bell. But, bells sway a lot, and the only thing that's tying it back, giving it any stability, is apparently this. That, by the way, goes to something else that's not touching this. So these bells are being held by at just that one point. Pretty incredible. Evening is setting in. So we can also look at the lighting. The lighting leaves a little bit to be desired from, as far as other villages are concerned, in my mind. I feel like the lighting in a lot of the other villages had a specific condition, whereas, in other words, the lighting was kind of angled or expressed in a public fashion. But this is. These are just kind of out there. They're like little lanterns. So, here we go. And this is nice. This is built, this piece, right, doesn't have a wood floor. It's got this stone floor, but it's the exact same kind of building, just adapted to a different type of ground, which is kind of neat. Oh, and there's no chain. That's neat. Oh, there's a little chimney. That's kind of funny. The first fire or open flame we've seen does take place in a structure that's not fully made of wood. It's got a rock floor. So props for that. Major props, right? If you had a fire burning in one of these other structures, I'd be super concerned. Oh, here we go. That's a good view. Yeah, I'd be super concerned for the winds are gonna move those sparks. They're gonna fly, and that place is gonna light up, go up in flames. But Here, there's really good protection around the open flames. I dig that. Props. Though I would probably build the... Oops. Oh, that's from my arrow. I would probably build the rocks around the fire a little higher, because you can see these sparks are already flying towards their dishes and all that wonderful toilet paper that they have, or whatever. The tension of these cables, it goes down. I'm seeing them come down, and I'm seeing them get tied back this way. But that really wouldn't... They need to be tied back down this way. There really needs to be a joint. Tying these back down. Because that kid's not heavy enough to keep that thing weighted like that. I don't know, they don't look heavy enough. That's good. I don't know if you guys remember, but Terrytown, they use this staple to kind of show the progress, or show architecture in progress. So you can see the average Rito villager is, you know, a bird-like creature, of course, and about that large. This is an older... This guy's fit. Huck is a fit gentleman. That's a fit bird. I like the use of ropes. I think there could be more sort of tethered, sort of rope bridge structures. More tension going on, like cabling. But I do love the hooks and the big and the kind of the feathers that decorate the top of these. And I do like the way that the bottom of the structures look a little bit like tail feathers, in that they're kind of tufting away from the center of the structure. I find that to be very beautiful. Maybe this is actually a good view to suggest that, like, the tops of these have, yes, they have these pieces and they also have these pieces, but also the bottom has this kind of tail feather like end condition to the wood and the way that operates. I think that's really quite beautiful. Let's see if we can get... Yeah, look, you see the tail feathers on this guy. Whoops. Right. It's all a language, right? And it's all a language, and I love that different pieces of sort of cultural language are embedded in the architecture, and they're embedded in the people or creatures, or the people who inhabit the space, right? And that the representation... Oh, what are you doing here? A villager. That in its representation, the structures start to kind of amplify the specificities of the conditions, the living conditions of the inhabitants. And not just in the, like, obviously the fact that it's built on a mountain that you can jump off of and fly around, but the expression of the kind of tail feathers and the speed, right? These kind of rickety wooden structures can actually express quite a bit of speed if you just give them a chance. What are these little feathers? What do you suppose these are? They look like the ends of the books. Oh, yes, it's the end of this book. Right, it's just facing that way. Got it. Nice. And it's on the bedspread. Hanging down. See that? These are the kind of details. There it is there. And then there it is there. And maybe, I bet someone's wearing one. Okay. So you see this piece. Very clearly steel. Oops. It renders beautifully. I am curious about, oh, there's some, is that steel too? Yeah. These are. See that? Let's keep looking around and see what we find. I mean, obviously the steel that I saw up above, everything is there, and that's legit. And then it transfers to a wood structure, which I get because it's got to be lightweight. Even though these single, I don't know if that's carved from a single piece or what the deal is here. There would probably have to be a joint somewhere. Those are not single pieces of wood, right? They would have to tether many pieces of wood together or create a joint, which I don't see, but maybe the joint's on the inside. It's just kind of strange to see this metal. Maybe because we are back. Yeah, that weight is going onto the rock here, but it's just weird. It doesn't seem necessary for these posts as an entry to the inn to be metal, and all the other posts, right, are this kind of wood construction, right? The signage is very simple. Unlike a lot of the other cities, the signage is only kind of this thing, and then it's just like a wooden sign. Oh, of course, with like a feathered edge there. Just a little piece. The music is cool for Rito. I don't know. It's not my favorite of the cities, if I had to pick, because I do think the abilities of the individuals in the city is expressed pretty well, in that it's high up in a mountain, and it's you can fly there, you can fly from it to a lot of places. So I feel like that's well done. And I do love the kind of feathering detail on the structure. There's a couple things that are a little like meh about it. I don't know if it plays enough with the typology of the swinging lantern building bell for me. It is kind of the same building over and over. But major props for the fire. Those would be very cold. It would be very cold there. But that is why in order to visit, you've got to put on this snow quill outfit. I imagine they take care of a lot of those heating issues by just the clothes you wear, or the very comfortable beds, actually. So the bed is suspended, or bed is suspended above the ground. I feel like doing something really unique with the beds would have been a proper. I mean, these look like some platform beds you can buy online, and they've got that cool headboard which has the same edge condition as the inn sign itself, which is the kind of feathered edge. However, the fact that they're floating at platform beds makes me a little concerned. And I feel like if the kids' beds were like hung, then maybe they could have done something with them hung, or somehow thought about the way that you'd be warm in those beds. Guys, thanks for listening. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe to get more videos like this. Comment down below what game you think I should do next. Come find me on Patreon to support my work, and see me live on Twitch to join in the fun. See you next time.